You know, I wish that I could say to the viewers, leave it to us. I'll talk to the professors. I'll explain to them it's broken and we'll fix it. These guys don't give a f***. They are getting paid, man. They are getting paid. They're not going to fix it. So unfortunately, you know, maybe people think I just say it because it sounds nice. You need to come together. You need to push back. Listen, the people who are supposed to be protecting you are not protecting you. It's as simple as that, man. It is as simple as that.
Okay. I have another question.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you mentioned at the beginning about different cities.
Uh-huh.
So there's a housing crisis in most major cities,
Yeah.
most countries. By extension, possibly a cost of living crisis in all countries.
Yeah.
So why are we so hard on our government here? Is it not their fault?
It is their fault. Well, I mean, I think it's important to recognise what most people view as an economic crisis in their country is a global crisis. You know, what really, almost everyone everywhere lives in one of two places. A place where you cannot get a decent wage or a place where you cannot afford a home. You know, and that covers basically everywhere, right? You know, that's happening in this country, it's happening in the US, it's happening in Germany, it's happening in France, Italy, Spain, Japan, Australia, Canada, you know, I could keep listing these countries, right? And what is interesting is, you know, we have quite a right-wing government in this country, but there's countries that have left-wing governments and are not fixing it. And, you know, I spoke in my video about the Labour Party. My big fear, you know, I don't think anyone's going to be surprised here. I'm not a fan of Rishi Sunak and the current Conservative government. But really, at the moment, I have very little faith that when Labour come in, they will act seriously on the wealth distribution. And the consequence of that will be that the wealth distribution will continue to get worse. They might do some small things that slow down the rate of deterioration, but it will continue to get worse. And then that means that living standards will continue to fall. And then people will start feeling like, well, fucking the Tories didn't fix it, Labour didn't fix it, and they'll vote some crazy guys in, right? You know. And I think what really has happened is what really has happened is we've created a system in economics where all the best economists are removed from public service. So I think if you consider, you know, I was, you know, one of the top students in my year at LSE. And when I finished that degree, I had the choice, do you want to go into public service, stay in academia, go work for the government, work for the central bank, or do you want to go into banking, right? And if I had chosen to work in public service, I'd have had to do a PhD, I'd have had to still be studying for 4 or 5 years, paying to study, going further into debt. You know, and then I'd have to work low-paid, difficult jobs for many years before I made any money. And even then, I wouldn't make that much. I went and worked in the city, and by 25, I was a multi-millionaire. You know, I come from a poor background. You know, like, if people in my family need help to get financial security, I'm the one that has to help them, you know? And, you know, not just them, me, myself, you know. If people like me are put in a situation where you have to make phenomenal, enormous personal sacrifice to work in support of the public. So then, what kind of person chooses to go into public service? You know, you will get the occasional person who's just absolutely dedicated to helping society. But really, more often than not, you're going to get people who come from rich backgrounds and can afford to make that sacrifice, or people who are in it for prestige. So the end result is, and on top of that, once you go into public service, they have like very, very poor systems, especially in academia, of correctly identifying and promoting the people who are good. So I think it creates an inevitable, basically, you create a kind of a posh-looking, smart-looking idiocracy of economics, where these guys are not incentivized to be right, they're not rewarded to be right, they write a load of like fancy wanky papers, they don't care if they're right or wrong, you know, but they all get paid 100 grand a year, you know, and they're all from rich families. Otherwise, they wouldn't have gone into that industry. Meanwhile, people like me are getting paid £2 million a year to work in a skyscraper and say nothing, you know. That is the amount of money I give up to make this channel. You know, that is how much I would be making if I stayed in the private sector. You know, so if that is the economic system you have built, where you specifically, aggressively incentivize anybody who's really good to shut the fuck up and never speak publicly, and then you create a system which is full of posh boys, which has no system of, you know, we've been doing this for years now, right? You know, and the predictions have all been right. You know, all the predictions in the mainstream media are wrong. By this time in Citibank, I was fucking famous. You know what I mean? So, if you create no systems for good people who know what they're doing to challenge the rich, privileged elites who control the narrative, then you cannot be surprised if you get a broken economy that rewards this idiotic elite. You know, why would anything else happen? So I think, really, the problem is more than the Conservative government, you know. The problem is a problem with economics globally is massively broken. It's dominated by rich idiots. There's no system for smart poor kids to challenge them. There's a massive incentive for smart poor kids to stay out of it entirely. And then in the end, what you get is shit universities teaching nonsense. I can't explain to you how bad the education was at Oxford. It's criminal, really, how bad it was. Shit analysis on the news. Terrible, woeful, pathetic analysis. These guys have no interest in being right. You know, sycophants in government who just want to line their own pockets, you know. And anyone who actually understands it is a trader being paid to shut the fuck up. You know, this is why we're in the state that we're in. It's much more than the Conservative government. It's much more than the Conservative government. And the reason why on this channel, the reason why I made this channel was because I wanted a space that spoke to the ordinary people who are getting screwed over. Because ultimately, it is ordinary people who are being hurt, and all of the people who are being paid to protect you are being paid to do fucking nothing. You know, they let this happen, and do they get punished? Do they get punished? Do the academics get punished? You know, David Cameron, who presided over a massive decrease in living standards, Rishi Sunak presided over a massive decrease in living standards. Where's their punishment? David Cameron made £10 million after that. Rishi Sunak is one of the richest men in the world. No personal punishment. You know, so, you know, I wish that I could say to the viewers, leave it to us, I'll talk to the professors, I'll explain to them it's broken and we'll fix it. These guys don't give a fuck. They are getting paid, man. They are getting paid. They're not going to fix it. So unfortunately, you know, maybe people think I just say it because it sounds nice. You need to come together, you need to push back. Listen, the people who are supposed to be protecting you are not protecting you. It's as simple as that, man. It is as simple as that. So it's not going to be easy. It will only come from a popular movement that says, you idiots have fucked it up. We don't accept it. We need change. It will only come because otherwise they're making money from it. They're making money from it. And they don't get hurt for being wrong. They don't get rewarded for being right. So, you know, I wish it was as simple as, you know, let's get rid of fucking Rishi Sunak and let's get fucking Keir Starmer in. It's not as simple as that. You know, there's a big systemic problem here. People need to understand if you do not fix inequality, you do not fix the economy. So we've got to fix it. Thanks. Housing could be so much more affordable, wages could be so much higher, and we could have so many more options in how we live our lives. Some of them put a lot of money into paying economists and think tanks to tell you that inequality is important for the economy. That is not true.